Hi, I'm Cooksey, and I'm going to show you my 3DText compound and plugin for Aximmetry and Unreal Engine. I'm going to show you a couple of parts of this. I'll show you what it can do, and I'll show you how to install it and how to use it as well. So let's dig in. So here we are in Aximmetry, and I've already loaded it in, so I'll just show you a little bit of a demo of what's going on here. So I've got these 4 objects here in this control board, and these control these different lines of text here. So I can obviously change the text and be whatever I want it to be. And this is just by the control board, but you could do this dynamically with the pins themselves. And then I can animate that, and I can animate that across all of these. And I can move them as well. So I've got all of these controls here to move them around. So you could place this text anywhere. You could have it around people. It could be like name tags. It could be information in the environment. It can be multi-line as well. So now I'll show you in a bit more detail how to install it and what you can do with it. So when you download it, you'll have this zip file, and it'll have a couple of things inside of it. So here you can see there's a folder, and there's also an XComp here. Now these are the bits that you're going to use to put it inside of Aximmetry and also Unreal Engine. So let's start with Unreal Engine. We find the content folder for our project. For instance, this is my content folder here, the root content folder. And then I just drag the folder in to that there. I'm not going to do it right now because I've already got it in here, but it's in here, and then you've got all the assets in there ready to use. And we'll do a similar thing in Aximmetry. We will find it in the browser, and then we'll just drag this XComp into our project here. Now there's one more thing we need to do in Unreal Engine before it'll work in Aximmetry. So let's go over to Unreal Engine, and we go and find it here. We find the folder, and then we need to drag this MTC_3DText main into your project. So we pull this into our project, into our world, whatever environment we have, and then we're ready to press play. So we press play here, and then we go back over to Aximmetry. And then it's very important that on your kind of environments project, ignore all the other stuff here, it's very important on your environments compound here to press this little link icon, because that will show up with the data that we need. So you can see it popped up there. We've got our little 3DText input. If we don't have that, then there's no way of it controlling the 3DText, and you won't see it. So let's load up my environment. There we go. And let's make it blue. And then we just need to connect this up. So it has an in and an out. The in, which on mine, this is a dev version, it'll be renamed, but this is where you put your camera data in. So it needs to know where your camera transform is, which is up here. I'll just drag that in from here. Oops, a bit far away. So here we go, this camera transform. So it knows where the camera is in the world space, and then we'll drag the out into our 3DText. And now our text should show up here. That's how you install it and how you get it working. And now I'll dive into some of the features. So I've included in here 4 layers of text. We can add more, and I'll kind of show you how to do that as well as some other options. But I'll first show you the kind of things that you can do here. So by default, there's this little thing that says stick to cam, and that's on by default. So that means when we move the camera around, the text moves with us, which is really useful for placement. The alternative would be for it to just live in kind of 3D space, kind of disconnected from the camera. But I found the problem with that, especially on larger sets and larger environments, it's very easy to lose it. So this stick to cam is just a way of like keeping it like with the camera when you want to be placing things around. So, but we can turn it off. So like I've turned it off on that first one. In fact, I'll turn it off on all of them, and we can see now, we can see them in the 3D space. But if I press it again, it'll snap back to the offset of the camera. So this offset here, so if I move this one, I can move it forward and back, turn that off, that will then change the transform there, and we can rotate it. We can do all sorts of things, and that'll rotate in that space there, which is useful because you might want to have it something over here and then something over there. There's no pressure as that, and you can do that individually for each one. So let's put that back there for now, and let's just move it up. So we've got that. That works for all of them. Separately or as one, it's up to you, it doesn't really matter. Like I showed before, we can change the text. That can be dynamic as well. You could pull that pin in into the compound itself and change it over time if you wanted it to, or animate it. We can change the color. And again, all of these controls are for each individual one. They're not like tied to each other, so you can kind of do whatever you want. And then you've got a few basic parameters for the material here. So we've got a metallic one that makes it sort of shiny. We've got the specular, which kind of works with metallic. It's similar to metallic in a way. It's more about reflections than it is it being kind of this metallic PBR material. And then we've got roughness, which works well with the specular and the metallic to give you kind of more realism, basically. So without the roughness, you'll get like a very kind of shiny thing. And especially if I turn off stick to cam and go and look at that a bit more closely, you'll kind of see what's going on. Turn the roughness up and it instantly changes. And this is 3DText. Like, this is working with the environment and with the lighting that I've got. I'm using Lumen in this environment, but it works with any kind of lighting system. It's a very basic kind of PBR system for the thing. And you've also got this emissive setting. This is linked to the color, so this is kind of a multiplier for how bright we want it to be, so it can cast light in the environment. And that is actually casting light when we're using Lumen, especially. I'll show you on these ones, or in fact, actually, I'll show you on this one, and you can see I'm putting it behind things, so you can do that as well. It doesn't have to be it's not on top of anything. It's a real 3D object, so you can even put it behind like billboards and presenters and things like that. But let's move this one and make that one bright, so you can see like it's actually like brightening the things behind it, which is kind of cool and having an effect on an environment. And all of these have some basic animation as well. So there's just a single button here that says animate, and that'll animate on and it'll animate off. So you could trigger that live, or you could animate that via Aximmetry. I'll probably add some more like complex animation later, but this is just a nice way for things to like appear on the screen or disappear. You can switch them on and off as well. I mean, you could animate this visible thing, which just ticks them on and off. But it's nice to have like a little bit of animation there, and it's relatively complex. It's animating in 3D space. So a few things that you might want to change. Where's this one? I've lost this one. Where did I put it? In fact, actually, if we just put this back, maybe we'll find it. I'll copy this one. Oh, I animated it off. Yeah. Cool. Right. So there's a few more things you can do. So I'll turn off these three for now. You got to remember whether you turned it off or you've animated it off. They're two separate things. Let's drag this down and let's jump into the compound. So we'll go here into my flow. We'll edit the compound in place and go here. So this is everything that's happening in it for the control, at least. A lot is happening in the Unreal version, but this text, any of these you could change dynamically and pull them out the pins if you want them to. This kind of default text, just one line, but there's an object in here that's super powerful, which is text block that we can pull in, and then we can pull this in and then it'll disappear because we've got no text in here, but we can type in anything we want. First line, second line, another line, apply. And then we'll get like multi-layered things in there. So then if we go back to our 3DText, I believe it'll animate on, one by one. So it's not doing like, it's recognizing the fact that it's a long string of text, and it'll animate on like that. So you could have multiple blocks in different places. I forgot to say, you can obviously scale these up and down. They're quite big at default, but you can put them anywhere you want. If we want to change the font, that has to be done in Unreal Engine, and you can change it to any font you want, but there's a bit of a process to it. So let's go back to Unreal Engine, and I'll show you how that works. Here, we're in Unreal Engine. We're going to stop the engine because we'll need to reload it anyway. All right, we're going to download a font. The font. Let's find a cool font. I like this one. So we're going to download this one. There we go. We've unzipped the font, and then we'll drag this in. And then, yeah, here we go. Would you like to create a new font asset using the imported font face? Yes. So it's creating its own like asset from the font. It doesn't work directly. So then all we need to do is go into this MTC 3DText main, click on that, and then you've got a variable here, which I might actually put in here. It should show up here in future versions, but you can do it here as well. And then it's just a case of picking it here. So let's just type it in. What was it called? Darius or something. Drius, sorry. Drius, let's load that. Cool, and then we need to compile it, and then we need to press play, and then it will come up in our thing. Oh, you can see it already there. But let's jump over back to Aximmetry. There we go. Load our environment, and then we've got this new font here. So let's just make that slightly less bright. At the moment, the fonts will be across all of the text things. So if we turn this one on, like this will be here in the same font. But in future versions, I can change it to be different per text thing. So that's it. That's how to install and use the 3DText system inside of Aximmetry and Unreal Engine. There's some ideas for future expansion. I will, at request, I guess, like expand how many text instances you can have. It's fairly unlimited. It's just a case of like updating the code, as well as an easier way to change the font, and then probably some requests. I'm not really sure like how people will use this, so it's kind of a good thing to get requests and ideas and issues that people have, and then work on future features that way. So hope that's helpful, and let's see what we can come up with.